Hello there. The British Central Bank is bracing itself against escalating inflation with the largest rate hike in decades. At the same time, the monetary authorities are warning of an imminent recession of the century in Great Britain. That means that after the US Central Bank, the British Central Bank also raised its key interest rate sharply. The Bank of England said interest rates rose 0.75 percentage points to 3% after its interest rate meeting in London on Thursday. This is the sharpest rate hike since 1989 and in the midst of a looming recession. Analysts had largely expected the move. I told you that in the video before the announcement. The central bank recently raised the key interest rate by 0.5 points, and now it's the eighth rate hike since December 2021. The decision to raise interest rates sharply was not unanimous there. On the 9-member MPC Monetary Policy Committee, 7 members voted in favor of the move, with 1 member voting for a 0.25 point rate hike and 1 representative for a 0.5 point rate hike. BOE boss Andrew Bailey defended the decision. If we don't act consistently now, it will only get worse later, he said. The pressure on the central bank has recently increased. Inflation in the UK was 10.1% in September and is even higher now. Like the European Central Bank, the ECB, the BOE is only aiming for an inflation rate of 2%. The British Central Bank was one of the central banks that began raising interest rates at the end of 2021. In contrast to the US Federal Reserve and the ECB, however, it initially opted for smaller rate hikes. The British Central Bank now held out the prospect of further interest rate hikes, but at the same time dampened this in an unusually clear indication to the financial markets that the interest rate peak would probably not be above 5%. We think that the key interest rate must rise less than what is currently priced into the financial markets, said Bailey. The markets had previously expected the key interest rate to rise to around 5.25%. Nevertheless, the BOE's economic outlook is bleak. According to this, the economy is likely to have slipped into a recession as early as the third quarter, which the central bank believes will last until mid-2024. That would be the longest recession since reliable records began around 100 years ago. That's what the PA news agency reported. In terms of severity, however, the decline in economic output would be less drastic than in the past. Accordingly, a decline in gross domestic product of 2.9% is expected. During the financial and economic crisis of 2008, British economic output fell by 6.4%. The economic crisis is being exacerbated by the political uncertainties. Former Prime Minister Liz Truss had raised doubts about the viability of her financial plans, which led to serious turmoil in the financial markets. After massive criticism, Truss resigned after just 6 weeks in office. Her successor Rishi Sunak is now changing course. He signaled that public spending must be cut and higher taxes may have to be levied. I talked about this in my video this morning. The British pound fell significantly after the BOE decision. The price dropped to $1.1176. In the morning, the pound was still above 1.14. The pound also fell against the euro. The UK equity market largely recouped previous losses. And by the way, from now on there will be another Outside Views video every day, but you can't find it here. You will find it on Outside Views Facebook, Instagram and TikTok, but I'm not allowed to post it here as well if I do it on the others because of the YouTube guidelines. But nevertheless, I'll see you in my next video. I'll be back.